Hari Om. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namaste friends. Team Param Vedanta welcomes you all for the session 12 of Gift Gita for Inner Freedom and Transmission, a study of selected verses from Shankara Bhashyam. In the last session, we have begun with chapter 3, verse number 1. Arjuna asked a question to Krishna, "O Lord, you are confusing me with two statements. One side, you are glorifying Jnanam, and other side, you are asking me to fight the war. Which one I have to consider?" So Krishna explained to Arjuna about twofold sadhanas of Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga in verse number 3.3. Let us continue today the explanation from 3.4 onwards. So, in today's session, verses 3.4 to 3.9 will be explained by Dr. Sheila, Srimati Pannaga, Srimati Smita Pai, Dr. Amitabh Saharoy, and Dr. Chandrakala. Today's moderation will be done by Srimati Pannaga. Over to you, Srimati Pannaga.
Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Sadashiva-samarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam. Om. In the last class, we concluded the glorious second chapter where Shri Krishna reveals to Arjuna that he is not that small, limited, worried jiva, but his true nature is that of the Atma, the indestructible, eternal, and all-pervading as Brahman. He also said that this knowledge alone leads to moksha. Now, Arjuna knows this knowledge. We know through the grace of our gurus. But moksha still seems like this highly exalted, unattainable state. And Krishna realizes this. Hence, he introduced Karma Yoga as the first step for a spiritual seeker. We all know that at the end of the entire Gita teaching, what does Arjuna do? He fights. That is, he takes to Karma Yoga. And that is what all of us will also do. So what is karma? Karma is action. All living beings are always engaged in some action or the other, starting from the smallest microbe to the largest blue whale or the redwood tree. Animals or plants do not experience the results of their phalam because they act according to the law of nature. But humans are blessed with an intellect, and due to our free will, we are responsible and we create results for our actions. The good actions result in favorable circumstances called punya, and the bad actions result in unfavorable circumstances called papa. Because we are constantly acting, the wheel of karma is constantly in motion, and we must reap all that we sow. This keeps us stuck in the loop of samsara, enjoying our punya and suffering our papa. So how do we transcend karma? How do we climb the spiritual ladder? The first step is to convert karma into karma yoga. Through karma yoga, we attain gnana yogyata, that is the qualifications of purity, maturity, and detachment of the mind. Through gnana yogyata and the punya we have earned, we reach a competent guru who gives us atma gnana of aham brahmasmi. Then through shravanam, mananam, and nididhyasanam, we eventually realize moksha. So we must understand that karma yoga is incomplete without gnana yoga. Karma yoga alone cannot lead to moksha because we do not gain gnana. And Gnana Yoga is impossible without Karma Yoga. Because in Karma Yoga, we learn to let go of our attachment towards our actions and results. And in Gnana Yoga, we have to let go of the entire world itself. So, Karma Yoga is the first step, and Gnana Yoga is the next step. With this background, let us understand what Karma Yoga is. It comprises of two phrases, right action and right attitude. What is right action? The Tattva Bodha, the introductory text to Vedanta, lists any of our actions will belong to these three categories. The first one is Uttama Karma, the best, the Sattvic, the Nishkama Karma. These are selfless actions done to benefit a large number of people, sometimes even a large section of the entire living world. Since these are done with an expanded mindset, they lead to a spiritual growth. The next type is Madhyama or Rajasic actions. These are selfish actions which benefit only me or a small group, like my family. Since these actions are done with a limited mindset of achieving very specific material goals, they lead to my spiritual stagnation. The third and the worst type is Adhama Karma or Tamasic actions, which are selfish and I will stoop to any level to achieve them. So I will step on others and also harm them to achieve my own goals. And because they are done with an immoral mind, it leads to my spiritual downfall. So, right action is when we maximize our sattvic actions, minimize rajasic, and completely eliminate tamasic actions. Lord Krishna says that even the right actions have to be done with the correct intention. So, if my intention is not very true or pure, like I donate to a school, but my intention is to secure admission for my child, then that action will come under Rajasic and not Sattvic. So, what is the attitude that we have to have while doing these right actions? The right attitude is to sincerely perform all the sattvic actions as an offering to the Lord without desire or attachment, as Ishvara Arpana. And because we act, we will reap its result. We have to accept every result as Ishvara Prasada. And some of them may be good, some of them may be bad. So, favorable results are received with humility, and unfavorable results without criticism or resistance. This gives us an equanimous mind, which is called samatvam, and this is what Krishna calls yoga. Samatvam yoga uchyate in the second chapter. Now that we know what right action and right attitude is, let us further understand how the purification of the mind happens. Now, all of us may not get many opportunities to do acts that benefit a large number of people or do a lot of seva or dana. Many times, our entire day is spent doing very mundane things. And some professions have opportunities to do a lot of seva, like doctors and teachers. But for all of us, there are many mundane actions we do. So, how do we elevate these karmas into karma yoga? The first step is to be fully present in the moment. When we are fully present, all our faculties are active and all our energies is directed towards doing this action to the best of my ability. So we just do what has to be done sincerely, wholeheartedly, and cheerfully without seeking appreciation. And we are just grateful for the opportunity and the capacity to do work without complaints and harboring no ill will. This way, we live life in an inspired mode, like Swami Anubhavananda says. He says spiritual practice is not a part time profession, but a full time preoccupation. When we do this, we gain the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, the qualifications for Gnana Yoga. Now that we have performed these actions with the correct attitude, how do we receive results? And is there such a thing called fate? Some results of our actions are unexpected. Sometimes they can be positive, like winning a lottery, or sometimes they can be negative, like losing a loved one or losing our job. But Yoga Vashishta says fate is nothing but the result of self effort of our past. Disproportionate results are the combined phala of both present and past actions. But he says the present is infinitely more potent than the past. So, if we are leading a comfortable life now, we should not rest because there is no greater power than doing the right action in the present. Accepting responsibility for our actions and their results, whatever they may be, gives us a quantum leap in how we live our life. We take full responsibility and lead a life taking the right decisions and doing the right actions all the time. With this background, we enter the chapter proper. Like Radha said, Arjuna asked Krishna as to which path he should take. Whether Gnana Marga is better, Arjuna would like to follow Gnana Marga because it is better than fighting with and killing his own uncles and cousins. So Krishna says that there are two lifestyles you can choose to follow. One is Pravritti Marga, which is a life dedicated to action, conducive to Karma Yoga, and in as a grihasta. Nivritti Marga, on the other hand, is a life dedicated to the study of scriptures, conducive to Gnana Yoga, and hence being a sannyasi would be better. But Krishna says there is no choice in the spiritual path. Irrespective of which ashrama we're in or which marga we choose to take, we have to first attain purification of our mind through karma yoga and then reach a guru, and then get the gnanam and finally attain moksha. Let us now see what Lord Krishna has to say in the next verse from Dr. Sheila. Over to you, Sheila, ma'am.
Thank you, Panaga. Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Bhagavad Gita verse 3.4 is Na karmanam anarambat naishkarmyam purushoshnute na cha sanyasnad eva siddhim samadhi gacchati. Shankaracharya, in the next slide, Shankaracharya in his Gita Bhashyam gives two types of introduction to this shloka. The first introduction is Arjuna's worry is, as already been told by previous speakers, is why Krishna prescribes him karma yoga, that is to fight war when jnana yoga is superior. Bhagavan recognizes Arjuna's internal thought flow from his confused and depressed facial expression and gives this shloka. So this is depression removal shloka. The second introduction is different and also very important one. It is doubt removing shloka. Doubt from third verse is that karma yoga and jnana yoga may be thought of as mutually exclusive or independent paths of liberation, that is moksha. When such a doubt arises in the people's mind, Krishna wants to clarify that they are not mutually independent. Everybody requires karma yoga and jnana yoga. With this, we'll see the explanation of first line of this verse from Gita Bhashyam. Karmanam anarambat purushaha naishkarmyam na ashnute. By avoiding action, a person does not attain liberation. First, Shankaracharya talks about the glories of karma in the Gita Bhashyam. Nitya Nainitya karmas or Pancha Mahayagna Rupa karmas should be practiced by every person either in this janma or should have done in Purva janma. Anustitanam Sattva Suddhi Karananam. That is, Pancha Mahayagnas are the means of Chitta Shuddhi. How? By removing Chitta Ashuddhi. Upata Duritakshaya Hetuvena. Duritam means Prarabdha Papam, which is Ashuddha. So, Karma Yoga cause purification of mind, that is Chitta Shuddhi, by removing Prarabdha Papams. Next slide, please. Next, Tat Karanantvena Gnanotpati Dvarena. Karma Yoga indirectly helps in rise of knowledge. Jnana Nishta Hetunam. It helps in Jnana Nishta, that is, gives courage to practice binary format. For this, Shruti Pramanam is from Mahabharata Shanti Parva. Papasya karmanaha shayat. Only by elimination of prarabdha papam, which helps in class rejection, that is controllership, abhimana, and with special prior rejection, one can rise in self-knowledge. Next, tesham arambat literally means actionlessness. But what Vedantic meaning or the technical meaning, actionlessness means akartvatvam, which is equal to atmaswarupam, that is jnana nishta or jnana yoga. So action is always associated with karta, that is ahankara. Ahankara will always be there. How to get rid of this? Only by claiming I am not ahankara, that is dropping triangular format. With this, Karma Yoga is a preparatory step for Jnana Yoga. So it helps in purification of mind and helps in rise of self-knowledge. The next slide. For all this, pramanams are there. Krishna does not teach without Shruti or Yukti or Anubhava pramanams. Both Shruti and Smriti Pramanams are given in Gita Bhashyam. Shruti Pramanam is from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Tametam Vividit Shanti Vedenu Vachanam Yagnena. All the seekers to know Atma is by following the three components of Jnana Yoga, that is Karma Yoga. Veda Parayanam, which is one of the Mahapancha Yagnas known as Brahma Yagna, and also Dhanam, that is charity, tapas, austerity. All these three put together is called Karma Yoga. Smriti Pramanams are from Bhagavad Gita 5.6 verse. Sanyasastu mahabaho dukkam aptum ayogataha. Without practicing karma yoga, sanyasaha means jnana yoga is difficult or impossible. Next verse, that is from 5.11. Yoginaha karma kuruvanti sangam tektvatvem patma shuddhahe. They perform karma yoga for atma shuddhaye, for entering jnana yoga by getting sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, that is jnana prapti. And one more from 18.5 verse, yagno danam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam. Yagna, danam, tapas are the purifying agents or the sadhanas in karma yoga. Next slide. With this, Shankaracharya establishes that is Karma Yoga is a sadhanam for Jnana Yoga. Now, next, the students or the Purupashi ask why one insists on upon Karma Yoga Anushtanam when Shastra prescribes sannyasa. Krishna gives answer to this question in the second line of this verse. That is, na cha sanyasnad eva siddhim samadhi gacchati. Shankaracharya says, according to Shastras, there are two types of permissible sannyasa, that is, which helps in liberation. They are Vidvat sannyasa, that is, Jnana Sahita sannyasa. This sannyasa is taken after Shravanam and Mananam for practicing Nididhyasanam, that is, for internalization, which does not require Guru. The next Vividisha sannyasa is Jnana Yogyata Sahita sannyasa. This sannyasa is taken by sadhana chatushtaya sampanna person for doing Shravanam and Mananam under a competent Guru. So the third one is non-permissible one, that is Kevala Sanyasaha without Jnanam or without Jnana Yogyata. Na cha sanyasnad eva. Eva means Kevala Sanyasaha. Doesn't give liberation and also will put a person in greater samsara. So this means merely taking sannyasa, one cannot attain moksha. The essence of this fourth shloka is karma yoga will never directly lead to liberation. It will prepare your mind for Vedanta Vichara, that is Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga will directly give liberation. So, Karma Yoga becomes indirect means to liberation via Jnana Yoga. Krishna answers to Arjuna's question by saying he is not denying Jnana Yoga to Arjuna, but only postponing Jnana Yoga. So he asked him to follow Karma Yoga first and get prepared for Jnana Yoga. Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Sheila ma'am, for that very clear explanation and also quoting all the shlokas from the Smriti and the Shruti Pramanam. So Krishna very clearly tells us here that we cannot get moksha by mere renunciation of our duties or taking up sannyasa. It is akin to running away from our problems. An ignorant mind will always suffer in samsara wherever it is because his mind is not free and the problem is always in the mind. A knowledgeable mind will be at peace wherever it is because the mind is free. Moving on to the next verse. न हि कश्चित् क्षणमपि जातु तिष्ठत्य कर्मकृत् कार्यते ह्यवशः कर्म सर्वः प्रकृतिजैर्गुणैः. Here Lord Krishna says, indeed, no one can ever remain without action even for a moment, because everyone is helplessly made to do action by the gunas born out of Prakriti. Lord Krishna gives us justification as to why giving up action is not at all an option. First of all, we already heard and we understood that external sannyasa cannot give liberation. We will still remain in samsara. Secondly, giving up of all action is impossible for any living being. We can try sitting still for a moment, but it is not possible for many to sit like this for a long time. Because even if we withdraw our karmendriyas, our gnanendriyas continue to function. Even when we are sitting in meditation, our mind still is active. And this is because the three gunas of Prakriti ensure we keep acting according to our swabhava. So what is the solution to this? We have to redirect our actions towards Karma Yoga. The world is constantly moving and changing. What was a minute ago is not now, and what is this moment will not be the next. So we have to go with the flow, and we do so driven by our own gunas. So if my swabhava is sattvic guna pradhana, then I will keep acting according to my guna. If it is rajasic, I will continuously do rajasic actions. And similarly with tamasic. So our aim through Karma Yoga is not stopping the action, but redirecting it towards spiritual progress. Even during meditation, it is not stilling the mind. It is redirecting it towards knowledge. This is what Sri Krishna is trying to tell us, that giving up action is not an option, but convert all your actions into Karma Yoga. We now move on to the next verse, which will be explained by Srimati Smita. Over to you, Smita, ma'am.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Verse 7 goes like this. Yasvindriyani manasa niramyarabate arjuna karmendriyai karma yogam asaktassa vishishyate. The meaning of this shloka goes like this. O Arjuna, but having restrained the organs of knowledge by the mind, he who pursues karma yoga with the organs of action without attachment excels. Lord Krishna says, Arjuna, whatever be your style, you follow both sadhanas and attain liberation. And naturally, the question arises, if there is a choice between grihastashrama and sannyasashrama, which one is better? Lord Krishna says, between the two ashramas, grihastashrama is better. He continues his teaching to Arjuna saying, continue in grihastashrama, do your duty, purify the mind, acquire knowledge, and be free by becoming a jnani grihastha. A Jnani Grihastha is better than and superior to an Ajnani Sannyasi. Therefore, it is Grihastha a life in society where there is a scope for contribution so that one can cleanse oneself. It is also ideal ashrama for fulfilling artha, kama, that is desires. Parallelly, it is an ideal ashrama for the service to the society. Artha and kama are secondary and subsidiary. Now, what should a person in grihastha do in society and what type of life he should lead? Lord Krishna says, Indriyani manasa niyamya. As a grihastha let him regulate his sense organs. First, even though grihasti is given the freedom to fulfill his artha kama, artha means security, money, name, fame, possessions, etc. And kama means entertainment. Therefore, let a grihastha fulfill his worldly desires, but under one condition. And what is that condition? Indriyani niyamya, by regulating the sense organs, which means without violating dharma and morality. Everybody is given the freedom to enjoy physical, sensory, intellectual, emotional pleasures, but everything should be within the moderate limits. Artha and kama should not be primary. Dharma should be primary. Giving must be primary and taking must be lesser. Always the account must show that what I have contributed is more, what I have consumed is less. This is called dharmika purusha, and therefore regulating, avoiding indulgence and avoiding sensory excesses. And how do you control the sensory organs? Through manasa, means discrimination. Therefore, we have to constantly arm ourselves with a weapon of discrimination by being always aware and alert about our thoughts and emotions. Vedanta does not ask to suppress. At the same time, Vedanta says, do not violently allow the sense organs to excess. Channelization and having managed the sense organs, that is Jnanendriyani, what should he do? Karma Yogam Arabhate. One should take the Karma Yoga, and how the Karma Yoga should be taken? Asaktaha, without getting attached to anything. So, whatever he uses with mastery, and he does not consider anything as an end itself. Whatever he uses is a means. According to Shastra, Grihastha is not an end in itself. When such a person is asaktaha, follows karma yoga, is vishishyate, he excels. And now the anvaya of the verse goes like this: Yahatu indriyani manasa niyamya arabate Arjuna karma indriyai karma asaktaha. Thank you.
Thank you, Smita ma'am, for that very nice explanation. So, Lord Krishna is telling us that Grihastha is the most ideal ashrama to be in. We have the freedom to engage in Artha Kama, but within the purview of Dharma. We have the opportunity to transform karma into karma yoga and gain a guru, progress spiritually, and slowly give up attachment towards our actions and their results, and finally towards our family too. Let us see what Krishna says in the next verse. Amitabh Saharoy, please.
Hari Om, Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Verse 3.8. Nityam kuru karmatvam karmojaya karmana sharira yatrapi chatena prasiddhaye da karmana. As we saw from the previous speakers, the main theme of chapter 3 is Karma Yoga. And now we get into the core verses of Karma Yoga, which is from verse 3.8 to 3.20, and we now start with verse 3.8. As you may recall, Karma Yoga was dealt with in chapter 2, verses 47 and 48, the very well-known verse, Karmanyevadikaraste. That was the summary, but in chapter 3, we elaborate it. One of the most beautiful features of Bhagavad Gita is that it addresses spiritual aspirants from all rungs of the ladder, right from the lowest to the highest rung. Karma yoga is also dealt with in a similar fashion so that people at all levels of the spiritual journey can partake of this journey. So here in verse 3.8, Karma yoga is addressed for a beginner. So let's get right to the verse. Akarmana karma jayahe, meaning action is superior to inaction. As they say, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. Only a jnani's mind is ready to handle inaction. But for normal human beings like us, action is a must. An unprepared mind cannot handle inaction and loneliness. So, to make it easy for us, Lord Krishna has actually suggested a beginner level action. In fact, Lord Krishna suggests that it's okay to perform even sakarma karma or karma which is used for fulfilling personal desires. One can graduate to altruistic actions later in the journey, but to start with, action is a must. Akarma sharirat yatrapi cha na prasiddhaye. Even our body cannot run without action. Even to meet our basic needs, we need to perform action. Because if we don't exercise our body, it's not going to be healthy. One may argue that he or she has enough wealth and does not have to perform action in order to earn a living. But even if such persons do not perform action and do not take care of their body, then the consequences are not going to be good. So as we can see, there is no choice but to act. In fact, the involuntary parts of our body keep working non-stop for our entire life. And that's a good thing. Just imagine what would have happened if our heart one day told us, I am very tired of beating all through for so many years, and now I need to take some rest. That would have been the end of our story. So there is no choice, but we need to take action. Move to the next slide. Yeah. So Nityam Karma Kuru. Now that we have seen that actions are mandatory, the next question is, what sort of actions should we perform? Here, the scriptures give us a guidance to perform obligatory action. For example, one very important form of obligatory action is Pancha Mahayagna, prescribed by the scriptures. Pancha Mahayagna refers to 5 types of action. Deva Yagna, or religious action, Pitra Yagna, or worshipping our forefathers, Brahma Yagna, worshipping scriptures, Manushya Yagna, and doing social service, and finally environmental protection. So these are prescribed as obligatory or mandatory action, which means that if they are not followed, there are going to be consequences. Just like if we break a traffic rule, we are going to pay fine. Hence, performing these actions are mandatory. But one may ask, why should we perform actions without fear? Well, the simple answer is that at lower states of maturity, one requires to be nudged, or one requires mandatory action so that it becomes easier for us to do the action. Hence, we have to perform mandatory or obligatory actions. And when one reaches higher levels of spiritual maturity, such mandatory actions are not needed. At that level, people perform actions through higher levels of motivation. So this brings us to the end of verse 3.8, where we have seen how important actions are. Hari Om.
Thank you, sir, for that very nice presentation with entertaining and engaging illustrations. So here Lord Krishna gives an agna to Arjuna to perform niyatah karma. So they are compulsory sattvic nishkama karma prescribed in the Vedas called Panchamahayagna, which Amitabh sir has explained. Sri Krishna instills a sense of fear because our minds are still immature. We are beginning our spiritual practice, and these karmas, by their very nature, to serve the society at large, will help us grow spiritually. So that is the aim of Niyatah Karma. And Swami Paramarthananda has dedicated an entire talk to the benefits of these Panchmahayagna or the Niyatah Karma. We move on to the last verse of today, which will be explained by Dr. Chandrakala. Dr. Chandrakala, please.
Thank you, Madam. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. From verse 8 to 20, Krishna will elaborate Karma Yoga. We all have learned from the previous verses that Karma Yoga has two parts. One is performance of proper action, that is Sattvic Karmani, that is those actions in which I contribute more than I take for myself in the form of Panchamaha Yagna, where I contribute at various levels. Lord points out that along with proper action, there should be proper attitude also. That is, every action is dedicated to Lord as an offering, Ishwararpana Bhava, and all the consequences of the action are received as Ishvara Prasada without any resistance. Next slide, madam. Karma Yoga has been looked from, next slide, madam. Karma Yoga has been looked from various angles. Karma Yoga as a commandment or agna of the Lord. This is Viti. Means if we don't follow life as Karma Yoga, it will be a sin of omission called Pratyavaya Papa. In this, fear is involved. Punishment for not following the Karma Yoga is imprisonment called samsara. This is for religiously immature people. Once the person is involved enough, the same Karma Yoga can be seen from another angle, that is yagna. Converting Karma Yoga into God's worship, an expression of gratitude towards Lord out of love, not out of fear. The more you appreciate the Lord, the more you appreciate the gift of the Lord. The more you appreciate the harmony and beauty of the creation, the more you express gratitude. Lord has given us everything. What else we need? We should worship God for the gift He has given. Coming to the verse 3.9, next slide, madam. Yagnartha karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangaha samachara. Next slide, madam. Yagnartham karma kuru. So it is to convert life into puja. Let my very life be an offering to you. Wherever I walk, be a pradakshinam. Whatever I eat may be an offering to you. The same is discussed in Saundarya Lahari by Guru Adi Shankaracharya. To offer our work to God, we need not go to temple. The offering should be in the attitude, that is bhavana. So what is the advantage of this bhavana? Lord says, Anyatra lokaha karma bandhana. Action which is not worship is the cause of bondage, as there is constant anxiety with regards to the results of these actions. Every action causes stress and strain. Action without devotion is karma that causes bondage. Action with devotion is yagna that causes liberation. This is the basic principle of Karma Yoga. Shastra says, Karmana patrate jantuhu. Therefore, Arjuna, next slide, madam. Tadartham karma kuru, samachara. May you convert all your activities as worship of Lord. People may not appreciate such action. Do not bother about them. If you do it as worship, the very action will give you happiness. Mukta sangaha. Do the action as worship without expecting anything in return. In conclusion, except for the work done in the spirit of sacrifice to God, that is yagna, karma binds all other work in this world. O Arjuna, you perform actions without attachment for the sake of the God. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Dr. Chandrakala, for that very beautiful explanation. I will just repeat the last line. So action plus devotion becomes yagna, and action minus devotion is mere karma. So work becomes stress if this attitude of gratitude is missing, leading us to bondage, that is enjoyment, suffering in turn. When we convert every action into a yagna, that is when we elevate karma to karma yoga, it becomes a reward in itself, and no external validation is required, and thus we are free from the stress of action and from the stress of its result. Mukta Sangha Samachara. So with this, we come to the end of today's class. Karma Yoga is definitely very, very difficult. To constantly be aware of the quality of your thoughts, your words, your actions, and to take decisions at every moment to convert petty thoughts into higher thoughts and elevate each of our words and actions into yagna. We will end with a quote by Swami Paramarthananda. He says, "What God has given you is His gift to you. What you do with what God has given is your gift to the Lord." Hari Om. Radha ma'am, please.
Thank you. That was a wonderful moderation, Srimati Pannaga, and all the speakers of the day for a wonderful session. Thank you for your active participation in this divine journey. On coming Friday, 9th February 2024, let us tune in for Kathopanishad 14th session. Now it's time to conclude the session with Shanti Mantra. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम. Thank you.